Welcome to Hamburgers and Horror, the home of meat, monsters, and Michael Myers. I'm Noah Hook, and we're back on our look through the Halloween franchise with Part 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. 1 year after the events of Return, a comatose Michael awakens once again to kill his niece Jamie, who is now mute, institutionalized, and telepathically connected to Michael. Mustafa Akkad got to work on 5 while 4 was still in theaters. Slashers were on the decline by the late 80s, and only the big boys like Freddy and Jason could still draw big enough crowds for sequels. Michael was luckily still making money, and Akkad wanted to milk this cash cow as rapidly as he could. Halloween 5 was directed by Dominique Othonin Girard after he was recommended to Akkad by Deborah Hill. Girard had directed a few films like After Darkness and Night Angel and would go on to direct Omen 4 and The Crusaders. Shem Bitterman, writer of Peephole and The Job, came in to write the screenplay. You know how Part 4 ended with Jamie stabbing her stepmother and basically inheriting Michael's evil? Bitterman thought the story should, continue from there, but Mustafa Akkad disagreed, knowing the crowds wanted Michael, and that shit got retconned. Poor logical Bitterman was dropped, and Akkad brought in screenwriter Michael Jacobs to write the second draft. Girard ended up adding his own ideas as well, including Jamie's visions, her unexplained muteness, and the idea that Michael has more emotions beyond the urge to kill. Donald Pleasance voiced his disagreements with the scripts, thinking Jamie should have turned evil, but alas, Akkad and his money had the final say. Girard wanted to add more gore like in Halloween 2, but Akkad ended up cutting most of it to better match with Halloween 4, and because the movie was for some reason really facing an X rating, the surviving characters all return for Part 5, so Donald Pleasance, Danielle Harris, Ellie Cornell, and Beau Starr are all back. Cornell wasn't exactly excited about Rachel's fate, but we'll get to that. The only new character of any importance is Rachel's friend Tina, who is played by Wendy Kaplan from Blood Deep. This time Michael is played by actor and stuntman Don Shanks from The Last Sin Eater, I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legends Bloody Mary. He apparently got his ass kicked on set, nearly getting set on fire, and actually getting his nose broken by Donald Pleasance with a 2x4. Halloween 5 grossed around $11.5 million at the box office, more than doubling its $5 million budget, but it is actually the worst performing Halloween to date. Critics were unimpressed, describing Halloween 5 as boring, aimless, and indistinguishable from the crappy slasher movies that used to rip off this franchise. Time hasn't really changed its status, as it has a 12 and 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, the lowest score for Mike yet. It's been quite a while since I've last watched Halloween 5, but from my understanding and based on everything I just said, it sounds like we're gonna have a pretty severe drop in quality, but who knows, maybe it'll surprise me. I hope you motherfuckers are ready to meet the cookie lady, cause we're watching Halloween 5. We get a rather Hellraiser-y intro as some pumpkins get sliced up and Alan Howarth's banging score transitions into the theme song the series will never stop using. Recapping the end of Part 4, we watch Michael get run over, Jamie embrace Michael get blasted, and Michael fall into the mine shaft. The injured Michael crawls away through the mines and makes it outside just in time to avoid the dynamite that somebody had with them. River Rat Mike just fucking floats along for a while when he comes across some sort of shack in the woods. It belongs to this hermit and his parrot named Tuki, I guess, and the man is attacked by Michael before he collapses. 364 full days pass and we enter the children's clinic where Jamie is being kept. She has nightmares about attacking her stepmom and wakes up with a silent scream. Nurse Patsy cares for the traumatized child, and as Jamie's hand twitches, so does Michael's. Yep, Michael has been comatose for a full year in this stupid shack, and now he's awake, I guess. Make sure you get an eyeful of that wrist tattoo Mike has definitely always had. Jamie tries to write a warning that her uncle and his shitty mask are back, but that ain't gonna help Mr. Plot Progression Hobo. Jamie seems to see and feel as Michael chokes the man to death, and Loomis arrives to stop the doctor from performing a tracheotomy, as he knows this shit is somehow Michael related. The next morning, Jamie is accompanied by Rachel, her god-awful friend Tina, and future dead dog Max. They've brought a dress for the clinic's Halloween pageant and are having a lot of fun until Loomis shoos them out of there. Oh, and we learn Mrs. Carruthers did survive the stabbing, so Jamie isn't a full-on murderer. A brick flies through the window along with a death threat as the town fears she is the reincarnation of her uncle. Rachel is going on a trip with her parents and feels guilty about leaving her stepsister on the most traumatic day possible, but not enough to not do it, and good boy Max tries to warn her about the shape in her bushes. Michael watches as last movie's smart final girl turns into a total Kelly Meeker, and Loomis watches as Jamie starts to have a vision. As Max starts to bark at Mike, Jamie rapidly draws a picture of him and Loomis calls to get her out of the shower. Rachel is now a completely unconcerned airhead, and it isn't until she sees the wide open door and the missing Doberman that she listens to Loomy and gets the fuck out of there. The cops arrive to check the house, and in case you weren't sure they're incompetent, listen to their sound effects.
All clear. Nothing above, nothing below.
Max returns alive and well, but Loomis believes in Jamie's visions and begs her to write down any useful information, with little success. Oh look, Rachel is still naked, and she doesn't notice Michael slowly emerging from the closet. She does notice Max barking at the house and a bashed Jamie picture, but it's too late as Michael unceremoniously kills our once beloved Rachel. This causes Jamie to have another conniption, and Loomy wants Sheriff Meeker to get involved. They discuss his dead daughter, Michael's evil blank expression, and Loomy's Part 2 burns. You know, the usual kind of stuff. I guess this means we're stuck with Tina, who lets herself into the Carruthers house. She simply thinks Rachel has already left, despite a record playing and Max left alone in the yard. Another friend named Sammy also lets herself in as well, and they plan a fun weekend of debauchery as Sneaky Mike watches. They join Tina's asshole greaser boyfriend, who's also named Michael, who talks them out of visiting Jamie, so actual Michael is led right to her. He chases her through the clinic and into the basement. Oh wait, it's just a friendly janitor. Jamie, you so traumatized. Loomis thinks Jamie knows Michael's location and is protecting him. He phrases it as though Michael's influence did make her stab her stepmom. He says she can't hide from him, and apparently Michael dug up a 9-year-old girl's coffin today, presumably to use it for her. Good chatting with you, Loomy. Meanwhile, a mysterious steel-toed man gets off the bus. Pistol-packing Loomy hits up this fraudulent Myers house and searches for his ex-patient. No sign of Michael though, and Loomy fails to notice the man in black, who has that same stupid tattoo as Myers. Speaking of, Mike has somehow followed the teens who are procuring alcohol for their wild, wild weekend. Douchebag Mikey pulls around back to grab the booze, and he spends enough time looking at himself to let Michael scratch up his car with a garden claw. Mikey defends his prized possession with a crowbar, but is quickly overpowered and gardened by OG Michael. The kids are getting ready for the goblin pageant, and this slick little stuttering boy named Billy starts putting the moves on Jamie. Fellas, we should all take a few notes from Billy. He knows how to treat a lady. Let me pause real quick to remind everyone how fucked it is the Carruthers Upton left for a vacation, not only on the 1-year anniversary of the most traumatic night of Jamie's life, but on the night of her motherfucking goblin costume pageant. Shame on you, Carruthers parents. Shame on you. The man in black watches as Michael skirts up and honks for Tina, but that's not dead greaser Michael, it's murder Michael, donning this weird old man mask she gave her boyfriend earlier. This is why they decided to have a second character named Michael, to see how funny it is when she refers to him by name and kisses him. Haha. Meanwhile, Jamie is having another episode and completely ruins the goblin pageant. Tina doesn't like the silent treatment or Michael's erratic driving methods, but Mike does stop to let her buy cigarettes. Nearly mute Jamie tries to squeeze out words, which are deciphered by stuttering Billy and told to crazy-ass Loomis. Just watch.
Cookie woman.
Cookie woman.
What the fuck is even going on here? Well, apparently Dr. Hart knows the cookie woman well and tells Meeker to head over to Dale's gas station. Mike switches into his proper mask, but Tina is surrounded by the entire police force before she can get back in the car. They bring Tina to the clinic and Jamie decides she can talk again. At least it was for such an important character like Tina. Tina immediately dips to rejoin Mikey, ignoring Jamie's vague boogeyman explanations. She also tells off Loomis for filling her head with boogeyman jargon on her way out. Oh my god, Loomis sends the dynamic duo to protect her. Maybe they'll all at least die quickly. Jamie realizes Michael is following Tina, and luckily Billy overheard where they're heading. Tina dances with some dudes, Mikey pulls up, and the idiot officers don't think he looks like a threat. Sammy and her boyfriend Spitz have a funny idea. Let's dress him up as Michael and pretend he's killing us. Sadly, these idiots don't get shot, and Sammy randomly finds a kitten by a barn. Tina and Spitz scream like banshees as they join her, and they wander the barn until they find more kittens. What is even happening anymore? Tina chases a kitten which runs into the same dark corner as Michael. Thankfully, Mike doesn't kill the kitty, and Tina leaves her friends so they can get freaky, barnyard style. Spitz disappears, and Sammy finds herself cornered by Michael. Nah, it's just Spitz in his Michael mask, and they start making out. Nothing gets a woman in the mood like pretending to murder her. They have a long, uncomfortable foreplay scene before Spitz condoms up. Michael finally decides to take action, and to his credit racks up a solid kill by impaling Spitz with a pitchfork. It wasn't a 2-for-1 deal, and Sammy removes the pitchfork to defend herself. Mike gets the best of her though and tastefully slices her throat with a scythe off screen. The cops notice Michael leaving the barn and, thinking it's Spitz dressed up again, calls him over. C'est la vie, officers. Oh yeah, Jamie and Billy are just hoofing it to this random farm party. The party is changing venues, so Tina tries to find Sammy and Spitz. She finds a blood-soaked kitty and the two bodies responsible for such bloodshed. She runs outside just as the last partiers are leaving and finds officers Dumb and Dumber are also dead. She spots Mike just as the kids arrive, and he turns on his headlights for a Tina corral. He chases her through the property, but Jamie is able to distract the shape and become his target. Michael nearly crushes Billy, which I kinda think should have happened, and chases Jamie through some little Christmas trees and then through some big boring trees. Michael hits a tree and the Camaro explodes, but we still got 30 minutes left. Michael emerges and slowly approaches his niece, but Tina intrudes at the last second to save her. Michael kills our not-so-final girl with a stab to the chest, and Billy helps Jamie escape into the woods. They are found by Loomis and the accompanying search party, and after seeing Tina's body carried away, she is willing to team up with the old coot. Loomis pleads to Michael as he lurks in the woods, telling him he must return home if he wants to defeat his own inner rage. He says he and Jamie will be waiting for him there, but he doesn't mention Meeker and the other officers hiding in the vicinity. This nice officer tries to comfort Jamie, but she's too busy having a vision about Billy in danger. A distress call from the clinic confirms some sort of problem, and just like last movie, all the cops head there, leaving Jamie alone. Loomis and Officer Charlie are to take Jamie to the police station, but Loomis says they ain't going anywhere. Charlie overhears another officer named Eddie getting beat down by Michael just down the road, and Loomis smashes the radio before he can call for backup. He tells Charlie to stay with the girl and heads downstairs to confront Michael. Mikey emerges from the shadows, and Loomis tells him Jamie can stop the rage inside him. He tries to remind ugly-ass Michael about better days and offers to bring him to his niece. That of course goes poorly, and Loomis is slashed on the chest and thrown through a banister. Michael heads upstairs as Charlie tries to fashion an escape rope, once again stealing directly from the last movie. That plan falls through though, as Michael starts busting in. Here's Mikey! Charlie actually shoots him a few times, but Michael is more lead than meat by now and charges through, grabbing the rope and hanging Charlie out the window. Jamie runs, and we see Meeker dealing with a bloodbath over at the clinic as Dr. Hart and Nurse Patsy are dead. Jamie crawls into a laundry chute to hide, but it takes Michael no time at all to locate her. She plummets down to the basement, but the other end is latched shut, trapping her inside. Michael pries the door with his handy-dandy knife and tries to grab Jamie, who is trying to crawl back up the chute. He just starts stabbing away, but she's able to make it back upstairs. Hurry fellas, you're missing the finale! Jamie stumbles around until she finds a generic candlelit shrine, complete with a child coffin, dead Max, dead Mike, and most importantly, dead Rachel. Damn, this movie did you dirty, Rachel. Jamie hops into the thrifted coffin as Michael comes up, but as he raises his knife in victory, the words Uncle Boogeyman stop him. She asks to see his face, and the shape obliges, even showing off an emotional tear nobody asked for. Nice Michael goes back to angry Michael real quick and attacks her, and the chase continues. She runs into Loomis, which is almost as bad as running into Michael himself at this point, as he grabs her and offers her up to Myers. This is just a trap, of course, and Loomis drops a big metal net on him. He tranks Michael up, which just seems silly compared to all the bullets he's endured, and then he straight whoops his ass with a 2x4. He begs Michael to die, and all of this excitement causes Loomis to collapse, which will be explained as a stroke in the next movie. And so, after 10 long years, the Haddonfield Police Department have finally arrested Michael, who is pouting in the corner. Oh yeah, remember the man in black? Here he comes for a shocking twist ending. A bomb goes off inside and the dude just shoots up the police station. What the fuck? Jamie comes back inside to find Meeker and all the other cops dead and Michael's cell blown open. Nice try, coppas. You could never hold the likes of Michael Audrey Myers. Mwahaha. And that's Halloween 5. I was right. This was a severe drop in quality. It's not that the acting or cinematography have really worsened. The issues with Revenge lie completely in the script. I'll just go through them in order. Number 1, comatose Michael being rescued and housed by some left-field hermit for an entire year is ridiculous, outright lazy writing, and is just a stupid way to start this movie. Number 2, making Jamie mute for the first half of the movie is also generic, lazy writing that adds absolutely nothing to the film. Number 3, killing off Rachel so early and unceremoniously was the second dumbest decision made here. For some reason, Akkad thought she should be a sacrificial lamb to show Michael means business, but that just leaves us with a bunch of characters we don't care about. I'm not opposed to her dying, but she should have traded places with Tina in the story. This would have at least made Jamie's constant fear for her throughout the movie make more sense, and it would have given her newfound speech more impact. Number 4, and finally, the most terrible decision made on the set of Halloween 5 was the inclusion of the man in black. Ooh, some mysterious guy who's in cahoots with Michael. How exciting. Let's be real, the plot wasn't finished when filming began, and the man in black was a catch-all, plot-driving force they made up on the spot. But his mere presence here contradicts everything we know about Michael. Obviously, he'll be fleshed out in the next movie, but the ending we get here is so unsatisfying, it answers no questions. I guess it wants to be a cliffhanger, but I can't imagine many people were at the edge of their seats. Oh, not to mention the mask looks like a horrendous bug-eyed alien who was dropped as a child. But honestly, I could have gotten over that if the rest of the movie was at least almost as good as its predecessors, but it just isn't, and it's a shame because there is some good here. The important kills are all pretty solid, Michael has a few good creepy moments, and the laundry chute sequence is great. The acting more or less is pretty solid, at least considering the ridiculous lines they were given. Danielle Harris once again does a fantastic job, she is really carrying most of the emotion here. Donald Pleasance is always great, but I just feel like Loomis is doing the same thing over and over again by now, and that's because he is. That's why they keep trying to kill him off each movie. But money will never allow him to have true closure, which would be the death of Michael. But money will also keep reviving the one and only big name who's still willing to be a part of this franchise, so Loomis's life is doomed to an endless Michael hunt. I'm sorry if you like this one, but there was not a lot for me to hang on to here. All of the characters either act like wackos, complete assholes, or bumbling buffoons. They try to give Michael emotion which just fails, and they kill off known characters and replace them with worse replacements, and it constantly borrows ideas or plot points from Part 4. It's a lazy, unfinished movie with inexperienced writers and directors at the helm, and it's the product you get when producers are in charge of so many creative decisions and are simultaneously rushing the project forward. Shit, I don't think I've been this negative since the later Hellraiser movies, but I gotta be honest, and it does not bode well for me considering we're not even halfway through this humongous franchise. Ah well, it's not like the next movie could be any more ridiculous, right? Who am I kidding? Next week we're going completely off the rails with Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Thank you all for joining me, and an extra thank you to my patrons. As always, I'm Noah Hook, and this has been Hamburgers and Horror. Stay safe out there. Thanks for watching my review of Halloween 5. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to like and subscribe so you can keep up with my weekly horror reviews. And if you want to help support the channel further, be sure to check out my Patreon account. You'll be able to vote for future movies and franchises I cover on the channel. Thanks, y'all.